We set up a time to meet prior to when we start. When you show up 3 minutes before you start,
I was here. I was trying to get this thing situated. It sucks.
I show up typically an hour before the show.
Yeah, tell the people why their time is invaluable. Buenas, buenas, buenas. Estás escuchando el mejor HVAC podcast del mundo. Por lo menos.
whoops.
Todos los viernes.
Who's in charge here?
Bienvenido. I don't know. We might have a guest tonight. I'm not sure. I mean, we do have everything given away on the thumbnail.
We just keep him in the background. If we feel like it, we bring him up. If not, man, we just dump him. That's what we do with our guests, guys.
For the dramatic effect.
Only 215 guys. We're still learning. We're tightening this ship up. One of these days is going to be good. Stick with us.
Yeah, don't give up on us right now. So real quick, couple things. Chris is gone. He's in Montana, freezing his balls off. What else is going on? Oh, Jessica Egan. It's her birthday. I don't know. She's probably not watching because she hadn't shown up in a while. So Jessica Egan, if you do get this message, why don't you pop in and say hi to the boys once in a while? All right. Happy birthday, kid.
Happy birthday.
Randy Ravioli. I know you wanted some cookies, but I sent you some of them nasty ass sour cream noodles. It's in the mail for you. So you and your little buddy Luke can eat those when they get there. All right, man.
Did you for real? That's amazing. Oh.
No, I sent him a message. I think I would send you some sour cream noodles, but the box got too soggy. So I couldn't send them out.
Nice.
Very good.
So what's up? We got an excellent show. We got this is probably the first time in HVAC Overtime history that we actually planned out a show. So behind the scenes, we got talking points, we got scripts written, we got everything ready to go for all you guys.
We do.
We barely made it barely posted this on time to get the show started.
As you can tell, Adam is not a good poker player.
I just want to tell how it is. This is reality, people. This is reality TV. We don't lie.
Just show them our hand.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Because, I mean, if anybody, I'm sure all you guys in the chat have been paying attention to the HVAC circles. And there's some fun stuff going on. You know,
right. Let's bring in our guest before we poke into it.
And we dabble in.
Before we forget.
Yeah. There we go.
What's going
Mr. Genry Garcia.
Mr. Genry Garcia. And I see you brought your entire forehead today.
What's going on, guys? Yes, I did.
Yeah, buddy. See, I got the same deal going on.
I should have shined a little bit.
Shine to it.
Yeah, man.
My forehead goes all the way around and down.
I wonder, do you like the dad hats too, Genry, or do you know what that is?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
No, see, Genry, the hats I see Genry wearing, and they're more of
cool hats,
like a trucker style flat brim with a higher crown to the.
They're baseball caps mostly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. The fitted caps is the ones I wear. I don't wear those like the snapback because I have such a big head. It makes me look ridiculous.
See, I can't wear fitted.
You got like 2 buttons hanging on for dear life at the very back.
That's it.
But see, I haven't been able to find a fitted hat that actually fits. Like I'm either in between sizes or they have those stupid elastic ones that stretch and then that leaves a ring around my head.
No, that don't last. Plus, it's you wash them once and they're done.
Nah, yeah. See, I'm done with that.
They do look pretty sharp there, Chris. Chris was saying that. Let me post it up here. Genry, those looks like CEO glasses. CEO glasses. I
glasses.
thought you looked like CEO, but yeah, they look pretty cool. Good to see you, Christopher.
So many games.
I like your shirt there, Genry.
That's it.
Yeah, you know, I've heard of that guy. I heard.
I'm wearing this shirt to show support to my my good friend Michael Hausch.
Oh, that's who that is.
It's been on the fire lately. Salute to that boy.
Salute.
Yeah,
man. That's it.
Good man.
So
yeah, we were gonna have him on the show, but then we heard about what he said, and we're like, we can't associate ourselves with that kind of.
We canceled. Yeah.
Yeah, we can't. I mean,
we don't swear.
No, we don't want to get taken down with the ship as he's going down. You know.
Honestly, if whoever wrote that watched even 10 minutes of one of our shows, I mean, come on, you know.
I think that most of us know who wrote that, and it's all a put on.
So for the people that don't know, we don't have any clips or anything ready, right, Adam? We don't have any of the emails or the stuff going on. So essentially, I'll break it down for you then. From what I've read and you know the little bit I know, I'm sure there's some details I'm gonna forget, but apparently Michael Hausch was speaking at the symposium in front of some people, and he said, "Don't be a pussy." Right?
Yeah, it was great. I was watching it.
This is a while ago.
This is a while. Yeah, it was a while
years ago.
And so this recently there was an email sent to the founder of the symposium, you know, sort of making threats of you know, they're going to go to some sponsors if they let Michael Hausch speak there because he's a sexist and blah blah blah. And it's been hilarious to see, and it's been hilarious to watch unfold, and also kind of cool the way that people are, you know, backing him, you know, the way that everybody's just coming together.
Of course.
Yeah, they were trying to get they were trying to squeeze Brian Orr from HVAC school, right? They were trying to threaten him to get Hausch kicked off of the panel that actually myself, Genry, Hausch, and Dustin Cole are doing this year at the symposium.
Oh, cool.
So
and what did Brian say?
Brian told him to go pound sand. It's not happening.
Yeah.
How can you? Like, he's such a huge figure in this community, helping this community. One general, I don't know, tech talk night or show or live. He says that,
you know, to play like devil's advocate, like I can understand like in today's day and age, like what, and again, like I don't think this is where this person's coming from. The person that wrote that email, from what I've heard from you guys and everybody else, I don't think they really care about feminist views or anything like that. But like, there's a part of me that can understand like why a super feminist would be offended. Like, don't be a pussy is comparing, like, sort of comparing women to something weak, I guess. But like, with that being said, I mean, just fucking don't be a pussy. Stop crying about shit.
So that was one of those American idioms that really got lost on me at the beginning, like the word pussy. And when I looked it up, it just I mean, it just said that it was a cat. Like the connection was to a cat. And we're like, how does that even work?
Yeah,
who came up with that?
That's got to be hilarious. Like when you're learning English and you're like going into a customer's house and you're like, wow, I can see your pussy through the window.
You should have seen me trying to say and use the word available.
Oh, available.
And that was some long days, dude. Long ass days trying to communicate with people. There was a
lot of cool posts going on in Hausch's favor. Like HVAC chicks Jennifer, like she stepped up and was telling everybody how, you know, Hausch is, like, she thinks Hausch is the sexiest, you know, HVAC guy ever.
I think he's got a six-pack.
I know he does. I've seen it.
Yeah,
I haven't touched it yet, but I've seen it.
If you ever met Hausch in real life, there is zero chance you think nothing of that guy, or that is just one of the kindest human beings in the world.
Mhm.
You know, he, I don't know. It got out of hand fast.
Well,
Fast.
on this show, anybody who's watched this show for quite some time, like sometimes we have potty mouths. Sometimes we say bad things. Sometimes Joe's a racist, but what are you going to do?
Oh my God.
But the thing is like, I feel it's almost like I'm walking a line, right? Because I feel like it's okay because I don't care. Like if you're offended by what I'm saying, well, we don't need to be in the same room together. Like I'm standing in front of the wrong audience if you're offended by what I'm saying, because you don't know me that well. Like
Mhm.
I have 3 girls. Well, I'm gonna have 3 girls. Cat's out of the bag. But I mean, I treat them with the utmost respect most of the time, unless my sandwiches run out. Then that's a different story. But it's like I don't know. It's hard for me to explain.
The thing is too, though, like if you were there and you heard the context that House said it in,
Yeah, nothing.
honestly, it wasn't. I don't know.
But have you seen that skit by Chris Rock? When don't call people when someone calls you the word FA, it's a derogatory term for homosexual. So I don't know.
You
It
want Joe to
is
say it? Joel said he says it all the time.
No.
Rhymes with
so
maggot.
and right and then he goes like you don't have to be gay to be called that. And he goes tells on this story about how he was listening to a Gwen Stefani album or something like that, and then he kind of like he skipped a green light at a traffic light, and the guy behind him goes like, "Hey, bleep, move the fucking car." And he goes like, "That was okay. There was nothing wrong with that."
Yeah, he was right.
That's a good one. That was a
He was
good one.
right. But I mean, that's a great point though. Like
Yeah.
I say like when things aren't going my way, like all the time. I'm like, well, that's gay. Like that's gay. Like I say it all the time. Am I trying to offend gay people? Am I trying to make a comparison between homosexuality and something lesser than whatever I do? Not really. It's just a phrase.
I think we also have a pretty decent gay following, right?
Yeah, I mean, I hope we do. I don't send nudes out randomly to people for no reason. Our buddy Clive, him and all his buddies. Like, I don't mean any offense by it, but it's just, I don't know. Like, how do you explain it?
So we got this. Let's call it derogatory term for people of Latin descent here, and in Miami we'll call them Julios.
Julios.
Yeah,
That's
like
awesome.
if you see like a real bad drywall job, or your lawn got cut and it's it's all over the place.
Oh my God.
You go. That's a Julio job right there. And then the company that I used to work for many years, we were at a Christmas party once, and one of the wives of the techs there, they were American, they were white, and they were American. The color doesn't matter. So they were American, and the wives there, and someone's telling a story about how these jobs get done bad and all that, and he goes like, yeah, that's a Julio job on this and that. She was she was a little racy on the racist side, and then the server's name was Julio.
Oh no.
And the guy comes in, how you doing, guys? We got this and that other special. My name is Julio. I'm gonna be taking care of you guys today. And as soon as the guy turns around, she goes like, "Is that an actual name? Like, there are people called Julio in the world."
Oh, no.
Wow!
Like, lady, that is the most common name in the world,
especially in Mexico.
Anywhere, I'm lower. I'm below.
Like here we have John Doe, and Mexico
or below
they have Julio Doe.
Yeah. Anyways, enough of this F words and this and that. To the people that don't know this man in this one of these squares, if you want to give a little brief synopsis where you came from and where you're at now, just brief. You don't have to go elaborate or anything like that.
I'm an HVAC contractor in Miami, and my company focuses on high performance jobs, heavily centered on the home performance side. but it's HVAC, but with heavy emphasis on the home performance side.
What do you run into on a normal basis? I know you said Miami, right?
I'm from Cuba. I was born and raised in Cuba, but I live in Miami now. Thank God.
What issues do you guys see? Because I'm in Chicago. You know that it's cold here right now. What issues are you trying to solve? On a normal basis when you run
Just
into
humidity. The gambit here, it's pretty small. It's just got to control. You just got to control latent. That's all what it's about. If you can control latent, everything else falls in place. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's on our terms, on our side. But when you go to a customer or client's house, what's the most common, I guess, complaint? Where are they coming to you as a
mold, right?
There's a lot of calls after mold has been found. There are a lot of calls about humidity, and not humidity, but condensation on ductwork. So a lot of that going on. Condensation
some
on vents.
Julio just installed the system and it don't work right.
Good one, girl. I see what you did.
We should start calling 5-ton systems Julios.
Oh.
Julio.
So
I want to know, there's a big thing that goes around online. A lot of these, you have a group on Facebook. I don't know if you want to talk about it or not, but you have a group, HVAC Grapevine, Overtime. There's a bunch of different groups in that. But there's a kind of a thing that's going around. We talk about systems are oversized, crazy style, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, I'm curious because, I know what I run into, but down in Florida, how oversized are, the condensers, heat pumps that you run into?
Oh, well, first of all, I don't ever run into any heat pumps. The only heat pumps I ever run into are are in buildings. They're water source heat pumps. They have no choice but to use water source heat pump. That's the extent of the heat pumps I see.
And why do they have no choice but to use water source heat pumps?
Because that's why they'll sell them. They won't sell them a straight cool water cooled system. They'll make a water source heat pump.
Is it
why?
Because,
I don't know.
I was wondering if it's because the ambient temperature there is usually just consistently warmer, and it just makes more sense to have.
How about point problems, sir?
I don't know. That is more on the manufacturer side. I couldn't answer that, but I can tell you that at least I've personally never seen a straight cool water source system. It's always been heat pumps.
Interesting.
That's about that. That's about. I've been at this since 2003. I've replaced one reversing valve, and I hope I never have to do that again.
I've never replaced one ever.
I see them. I install heat pumps, but you look at those and you look at how you have to get in there. Man, that looks scary to do.
I hope I never have to do that again. That was
like
a
I'll
long
bet
day.
you it's easier to cut the pipes further up and around the
well, what I end up doing was I did cut the bottom one, and then when I cut it, the other ones I just cut it with the Sawzall because they were pointing down. So I just I cleaned the inside of the pipe real good, and then just unsweated the stubs, and then went back in with a new one. Which it's a lot easier saying it than doing it because I had a really hard time. So I had no room to work.
So you said you started your business in 2003, or you got in the trades?
No, I got in the trades in 2003. My business started officially in 2015, and it was originally intended. The name of my business is Comfort Dynamics Inc.
Why did you start? What was the purpose of starting your own business? What made you want to do that?
So I was working on a company for many years. I was the service manager and all that, and then I got a job offer to work for Carrier as a tech support rep. And in there, my world just exploded. I saw everything that there was that there was about the HVAC world, and somehow in my mind it made sense to become a test and balance certified technician, a test and balance company. Because what I was seeing was it all came when a house or a building wasn't comfortable, it all came down. So send me the test and balance reports. Well, I guess that's what I need to do. So I went, got certified by NCI, got tools, thousands of dollars, And then I couldn't get any jobs. All these test and balance jobs were awarded before they ever came out to bid. Technically they send them out for bids, but they were awarded. Make no mistake.
And this was around 2015, you're talking?
2015, 2017, in that range. So I
Do you
screwed up.
feel,
I had.
sorry to interrupt you. Do you feel like in 2015, do you feel like the idea of testing and balancing was well known in the trades? Because I feel like at least over the last couple of years, I've really been hearing about it.
No, the only reason why I became so, say, acutely aware of the nuance of that specific profession or that specific side of the industry was because while working at Carrier, I realized that once you check pressures and once you check equipment, just the equipment commissioning, if you had any issues beyond that, you need to go see the test and balance guy. At this point, I don't know there's such thing as a home performance contractor or home performance anything. I don't know about building science. I don't know. I've never heard of Joe Stieberg before. I don't know about it. I haven't heard of a blower door. That was the first time I ever heard about the name blower door was on a job site visit that we went to go see. And at the end, the boss man at Carrier told him, you get a blower door done in this house, get me that report, and if that report says that this house is good, I will give you brand new units. And then that day, my mind was boom. So what do you mean a blower door? And then I learned about it a little bit, but I carried on with my test and balance thing. And well, like I said, it didn't work out. So I went from there. I just kind of transitioned into regular HVAC work, maintenance, change outs, capacitors, coil cleans, things like that. And then little by little, I started becoming more involved in the home performance side through all these online communities and meeting people and things like that. And next thing you know, I got my blower door. Next thing you know, I'm doing this. Next thing you know, I'm doing that. Got to meet Steve Rogers, got to meet Sam Myers, hanging out. I met Adam, Dustin Housh, all these guys. And then, my whole HVAC world just exploded from there into home performance. I met Neil Comparetto.
The thing is, though, like,
buddy,
I don't know if any of you guys have seen any of Genry's videos. You're solving people's like serious comfort and health issues in their house. And like, I was trying to, when I first bought my blower door, I was following some of your videos. I was listening to you on HVAC School podcast, and I just remember like trying to follow what you're talking about, right? And you're talking about like rooms with relations to other rooms, with relation to outside, and man, like I just I still feel like, man, I like hats off to you. I'm always learning something from you, and I don't know how you got to where you're at. Like, where'd you start? When how'd you start figuring this stuff all out? What was it?
I mean, I got my blower door and all that, and I started doing tests and just the basic stuff. But really, what really just the single biggest influence in my career has been Steve Rogers. And
He's awesome.
Anybody that has been around me and Steve know that that relationship, it's not always friendly. Like I'm sure he appreciates me. I appreciate him, but we can get into some arguments.
Sorry, cut you off. Because Adam told a brief story, and I thought that was funny. Can you guys talk about that?
So we're in the last Animal House at the last symposium. Steve Rogers is going on about how he wasn't speaking in detrimental terms about inverters. He was just saying, if I remember correctly, something about they didn't solve any problems, and they didn't take care of this, and they didn't take care of that, and they started showing me some math, and started showing me some formulas. So like, Steve, okay, hold on. There are things that are not just, they're not reading in books. So I'm gonna give you my perspective, and from there the whole thing carried on, and it started getting out of hand little by little.
By the end of the conversation, he's freaking pounding the table.
I was banging on the table. It's like, because for every argument he's trying to for every argument I made, he pulled out a new formula. I was like, Steve, that's not what I'm talking about.
Sounds like you were more trying to explain to him, like, hey, if I'm standing in front of a customer, like I can't just start busting out math formulas and explain to them what's going on. I still need to solve the problem.
It's not like I can tell him, Miss Inverter, let me show you why this or that's not gonna work. Let me pull out my scientific calculator. Let me break out my laptop, pull out my Excel spreadsheet here. But I don't think his argument was for clients. He was trying to talk to us directly.
Listen, I just got the report back. I did your blower door test. We tested your house. It's nice and tight. If you're still uncomfortable, it says right here at the bottom, don't be a pussy. So don't call us no more.
Oh man.
But
it is.
Go ahead. Did you want to finish that story or you finished it off with or no?
No, it was
okay.
At one point I ran out of English to argue with Steve.
That's how that was the best part.
I literally said, Steve, I just don't have any more words in English to make arguments with you. And I kind of got up and left.
I've used up all my English words for the night.
I used it all up.
Everybody knows you only get so many in a day.
There's only so much I can do about that. That is the truth.
You know, let's rewind that. So back in 2003, when you got into the trades, like why even get into the trades? Did you have somebody, a mentor who got you in the trades? Like your dad was in it, uncle?
My dad. No, my dad does AC and electrical, a little bit of everything. He doesn't really get into it that deep like I do. But I started working in that, but then I wanted to see like other things, So I went to school for a little bit, those kind of things. And at one point, I just realized I had seen enough to understand that I had a real shot at making a decent living and being able to take care of my own.
It's like one day in the middle of class, you just got up out of the class and just walked away and be like, I already know it all. I'm out.
No, actually, my classes were in Spanish. And when I got my cute little diploma in Spanish saying that I know AC now, I know HVAC, how to troubleshoot and all that.
Try getting a job in America with that.
Yeah,
right. I
have to Google Translate, so they take their phone to look at you.
Yeah.
I get to the field, and guess what? There isn't a single anything written in Spanish for any units.
No.
That was such a big mistake.
Of course.
Take your certificate down south and hand it to somebody.
If you're
what the hell is this, boy?
If you're watching that, I got a story about someone calling me boy too.
Oh, that's cool. I love that.
Right. So the I get.
Hey, have a safe trip down.
If you English is your second language and you're watching this, don't take any classes in your native language. Do it in English.
Right.
It's gonna help you. You might think it's actually harder. It's gonna help you a lot, because there's nothing in Spanish or anything like that out there.
Well, the confusing thing that you told me before the show is that when you're explaining really in-depth problems to people, you are able to do it in English but not Spanish,
right?
Or not as well in Spanish.
Right. So if I get to a client's house and they have a home performance issue and I need to lay my cards on the table and start with the process of making them understand what they need and get the ball rolling, and I have to do that in Spanish, I get lost. Now, I don't know how to do that very well. In the English, I kill.
Do you think that's because, I would say the after school part of your career where you seem to have learned all of this stuff, you probably learned that in English, right? You had all these discussions in English. I would venture that's probably why then.
Right, and a lot of the things just don't sound the same. Like if you were to go verbatim on these translations, a lot of the things just don't sound the same.
Now, for my own curiosity, where did you learn English? How did you learn English? Did you just pick it up, classes, go to school? Because your English is very, very good.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah,
me too.
When I came from Cuba, I had to sleep in the same room as my younger brother that was born in the States, and he was younger, and so we watched whatever he watched, and I was 21, but you better believe that SpongeBob SquarePants and the Fairy Godparents, where those things were playing all the time in that TV. And actually, I got to like him quite a bit. I got to enjoy the
Dude, I love
SpongeBob shows.
SpongeBob.
Yeah, and that's essentially most of my pronunciations and how I
See, that
really started
baffles
communicating.
me. As like, I've been a student of Spanish, trying to learn Spanish consistently for like 9 years now, and I listen to my podcast every day. And this is completely off subject, but so I do my podcast. I try to immerse myself in the language as much as I possibly can, and my Spanish is nowhere near as good as your English. So, hats off. You are a gifted person, I would say.
So
Maybe when it comes to English, yeah, sure. Thank you, appreciate that.
I want to back up for a second. I know we were talking about like you sleeping in a room with your younger brother, right? And your dad does HVAC. How long? I mean, when did your dad start doing HVAC? How did he get into it?
So he used to fix small refrigerators and small freezers and all that in Cuba. So when he came over here, he did odd jobs on here and there, but he got a chance at a company to do HVAC, and just kind of took it from there. But I couldn't, so I worked with him for a full year, but I don't, because I guess because where I come from and all the preconditioning that I have and all the biases that I have a pretty serious issue with figures of authority. And I respect and love my dad too much to talk back.
So I try to correct him on anything.
Right. So we don't work together. Like even today, we don't work together ever.
So
like
how
if he ever needs my help for anything, I said, I'm gonna go. I want to take care of the issue, but I want you to keep quiet. There's nothing you can do and say here to make anything better. Just be quiet. Let me take care of this.
Wow.
And that's how it gets done. Because
you just shut your mouth. I'll take care of it.
Sit there and look pretty.
I said it in a very respectful way because I do respect my father very much and I love him. But it gets in the way. I was like, I got to do 2 jobs. I got to fix 6 and I got to stop you from making it worse.
Have you ever had conversations with him where you're trying to like explain some of the what I would call like in-depth subject matters?
I have, but it is.
It's just like real old school.
It doesn't work.
Guy.
It just goes over his head. He was like, I just clean this coil. If it doesn't work, then they got to call someone else.
Does he see value in what you do as far as home performance and solving issues like that? Yeah.
Now he doesn't understand what it's about, but he understands what I do at the level of in depth of the depth of the things that I get into. He does understand that very well.
This is actually a question I also share. I don't know if you can see the screen, Jenny.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. In my opinion, there is. We talk a lot faster, and we have.
Oh, you guys talk faster?
Yeah, and I feel that the Mexican Spanish, so to speak, is a lot more polite, respectful than what we do.
Like I know in different parts of Mexico that I've been, the Spanish is different. Like they somewhat of like a different accent even. I've been told they use different words for different things, different contexts. But that's really all I know about it.
I've been to Mexico and I had a great time. The attention was great. Service, the people, it was amazing. Plus, I know a few people from Mexico in here, and the demeanor, the nuance of the communication, it's a lot more polite and respectful than what if just 2 Cubans were talking to each other.
But when you're talking your Spanish in Mexico, like fully comprehensive, like nothing was confused, nothing.
No, I think that even though we don't understand what each and every word means, we still get up the point across each other. Like we can understand each other.
Because like me and Joe speak the same language, kinda, but I can't understand most of what he says.
Especially during text messages.
Oh yeah. especially during text messages.
Now what we're gonna do is change the subject, especially because you're talking about me.
But we were talking about how people from Mexico are very respectful in that. We do have Yamo in our chat, and like every morning, Yamo's like, "Piss off, Joe." He's always
Yeah, when he rolls out of bed at the crack of 1:30 in the afternoon.
This is why, guys. This is exactly it, guys. He exactly rolls out. He sends a message. Good morning. It's like 11 o'clock or something in the morning. Like it got later and later and later. And all I did was, he pressed the word and you do an emoji. So I always used to laugh because I'm here working my, what off, and this guy's getting up at 11 o'clock. I'm like, oh my god. I go, it's almost lunch, Yamo. It's almost lunch.
He only wakes up when the sun has rotated around far enough to just peek underneath his sombrero. Then he wakes up. Then he wakes up.
Just these past couple of days, he's been getting up a little early, and then what I do, push, and the shocking face, like,
Piss
he's
off,
actually
Joe.
early. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
But anyways, skip that. Question for you. When you go into a house and like, I guess customers are complaining about comfort issues or whatever, what's your steps, your first steps, maybe for any tech that's like listening, what's your first steps, and what do you do when you go in that in-house environment, or you're assessing the problem? What's your first steps when you're in the house?
Well, I mean, when a house is humid, you can tell. So that kind of leads right. Or if you look around, you see stain marks on the vents. That's a tell. The color of the roof, you make a mental note of that, and also you try to find out at some point if it's an encapsulated attic or not. If depending on where that is, you know where to go. Then they start telling you about. So the house is really uncomfortable. Okay, when is it uncomfortable? Oh, at night. Okay, what happens at night? That doesn't happen during the day. Well, we close the doors, or we lower the temperature, or I have to crank it down real low. My bathroom vent starts to sweat. All those kind of things, and then that begins like a picture begins to form.
Yeah.
And then you start asking them questions, like leading questions. I mean, how important it is for you to solve this? Like, how far do you want to go? I can get you some quotes for some testing packages and things like that.
Speaking of humidity and cranking it down real low, the one thing that we also have is fresh balls can help out with that.
That's it.
So if you do suffer from humidity issues, whether it's humidity in your balls, fresh balls. That's our sponsorship for the night.
There you go. That's it.
If someone was to be considered a pussy, can they use fresh balls? That's what I want to know.
I would say yeah, because because why?
They have to, because they always want to smell like flowers.
I mean, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Because they want to be comfy. They want to be comfy. It's soft life. Like, don't be a pussy. Like, I don't ever use it because, like, from being such a man, my nuts are just calloused. Like, they're just calloused. Like, I don't even need it anymore.
I was going to say back to
calluses.
Calluses. That's why. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So when your wife reaches over and goes like, "You have such sharp balls."
It sounds like fingernails on sandpaper.
Oh my!
Yeah. She went down on me once and broke a tooth.
Jesus Christ!
She got a right here.
Can I mute him?
Yeah.
She was tying shoelaces, guys.
Looks like she got carpet rash right here, but I'm like, no.
So, all right, let's back to HVAC a little bit. Let's talk about duct leakage. So you did some sort, almost like a case study with Steve Rogers from the Energy Conservatory. What was that? Like a year and a half ago, something like that?
That was a couple of years. That was the first time I was exposed to, like, I had heard about matter, but sorry, that was the first time I was exposed to what I was dealing with. So like, so it took some time. Steve walked me through it.
For everyone that doesn't know
numbers.
what matter is, can you give them a brief
MATTER stands for mechanical air
Distribution.
mechanical air distribution and interacting relationships. That's what it stands for. And it was first developed by John Tully and Neil Moyer in 1987. And then it fell in the back of some drawer, and it went missing. And then guys like Sam Myers and Steve Rogers, kind of make me aware of this concept. And then I started looking into it. So after that case study that I prepared with Steve Rogers, so what happened with that is that I never saw the resolution of that case because it became legal. And so the person who installed that unit was the one that had to deal with that. Or at least his insurance did. So I never saw the end of that, whatever happened with that situation. So I went on and I got my blower door and I got my my calculations and I got my CPD and I got my this and I got my that. And I know I'm going around thinking that, I can't go wrong. And then a friend of mine calls and says, I need a new unit. And I go to his house, run all my numbers, run all my this, run all my that. And he goes like, okay, this is your unit. Took out a 5, went back with a 3. And the guy calls me 2 days later. He goes like, this unit doesn't cool well. And he has a data log in thermostat, and I'm looking at it. And he's right. The unit struggles. And when I'm looking at it, and one thing that I noticed was that every time the unit turned on, every time the cooling cycle kicked on, the temperature in the thermostat and the humidity went up for the first 3 minutes, and then it came down. That was a consistent cycle. I reached out to Steve because this all like was familiar. Or I gotta get my head around this again. And long story short, he had some duct leakage. He had 282, I want to say, net supply leakage, and essentially that was the difference in him feeling comfortable.
So how is that causing the temperature spike on the data
So
that you're seeing?
every time that the unit ran, he had mechanical air driven infiltration. His house was right on a lake, big lake, wide open, a lot of windy and erratic conditions.
Oh, so his ductwork was outside the envelope then, right?
It was in the vented attic. So every time the unit ran, the house depressurized, and the unit was running, but hot and humid air was pulling in from outside. And it wasn't so much that it was hot, but it was humid. So but listen to this. After I do all of that, I present him like, dude, this is what's going on. And all of that. I was like, okay, but I don't want ductwork. That's too much money. I mean, I want a new unit. I want a unit that works. Like, you want a unit that works? Like, you want a bigger unit? Like, yeah, I want a bigger unit. Okay, I want to put in a bigger unit, obviously, on my dime, but the concept of this home being controllable, it doesn't exist. I just want cool air, so I don't have to worry about this. And that was his choice. So I went, reached in my pocket, and bought a new unit. After that day, my man, I never once again will lose sight of this, because that cost me money.
So from now on, what you're doing, like when you go in and test a home, you're not just testing for size, you're also maybe looking for things like this, I assume?
Yes. So essentially, when you put up the blower door, you put on your blower door, you get your blower door number, and you record all of that. And the next thing I do is, with the blower door still up and the manometer recording the pressure with relationship to outside, or a baseline in this case, I go to someone, turn on the HVAC. It turns on, I record that number. Well, I close all the interior doors. They close them up, I record that number. And then I go, the next thing I do is I have them close all the interior doors, and I run my blower door again. So I have a modified blower door number. And with that modified blower door number, what I've been doing lately is, there's this app by this guy, Anthony Cox. It is really good. When you first open it, it's kind of confusing, but it actually works pretty well once you learn to how to use it. that it gives you that margin of error of how much you're going to be off by, just on the return or just on the mechanical driven infiltration that you're working with. It is. This is why you got to charge for these things, because you know it takes some know-how, it takes some time, it takes some
Yeah,
equipment.
it takes a lot of time.
And
I
guy,
think.
go ahead.
But
I was going to ask you though. Here's the thing. So what size did you end up removing? You removed your 3-ton. And what'd you put back in?
4.
4. Okay. So here's the thing.
But I didn't decide the 4.
Who did? You did?
The homeowner. No, my friend. I asked him, "What do you want? You got a 3. You can go 3.5, 4, or 5. This is your choice. You get. I said you get one crack at this. One crack at this for free is what I meant.
And he had a 5 before, though.
And he had a 5. But on the 5, to be fair, I had done a measure quick report on it, and the unit was producing little more than 4. Like it was like, I want to say it was like 49,000 BTU total.
Right.
Because it wasn't moving a lot of air, and that the wheel was dirty, the coil was caked, the outside unit was trash. It was a very old unit, beat up.
So I wanted to find out though, like if people in the chat might not realize this, but like, all right, so you have 3 tons, you're moving 3 tons of air. Probably my guess would be I don't know. I know you probably don't like to talk in generalizations and rules of thumb, right? But down south, you're trying to pull out more latent capacity, so you're probably running less. Let's not give a number, but less CFM per ton, right?
Yes.
Moving
So
the air slower across the coil.
right. So one thing that ends up happening is when you increase airflow, you increase static. When you increase static, you increase duct leakage. So my question is, by going to a 4-ton, did you once again increase the mad air?
Yes, there's no question about it. The mad air must have gone up, but also his comfort complaints went away. So that's his choice. If I would have had my choice, I gave him a heavily discounted price on new ductwork and item returns and just taking care of the house. He said, I just want an AC that works, and I don't want to have to break anything in my ceiling. I want none of that. Just give me an AC that works. And it was very nice about it. It's a good friend of mine still. So you got it.
To this day, has he ever made those upgrades?
No.
How's his house? Can you smell it? Like, you smell the mustiness of a wet house. No, I'm not talking about house, a wet house.
Yeah, a wet house.
On occasion, it would climb up, and I can still see. So to speak about the increased duct leakage, the time that the temperature and the humidity climbs up, it's more than 3 minutes. I guess depending on what the conditions are, I've seen it go up to 5 minutes before it starts coming down. But he's comfortable. He's happy. So
yeah, exactly. just in spite. Now you mentioned a manometer. What manometer do you usually use for the people that don't know?
I have a few. Anything from Retrotech or TEC, you're good.
I'll post a link of just Energy Conservator where they could just a YouTube channel where they show them using it in the chat. But this ain't no I don't know how to explain it in nice terms. Don't know Testo 510s field piece probes. Yeah. You're not going to be getting.
Yeah, you're not going to buy this at Walmart.
Yeah, that shit. Throw it out the window.
Of the stuff that is available today, if you're not spending at least $500, you're not getting it done.
You're not gonna.
Yeah.
So we're talking about what do they call these? They're micromanometers, right? Is that
precision manometers?
Precision manometers, right? So the big difference is I think they all auto zero, right? They're self-calibrating like every few seconds, which most manometers don't do that. So the manometer that Joe's holding up is the DG8. Great. That's probably the cheapest precision manometer that you could buy in the market right now.
And that itself is a couple $100.
Oh, more. Yeah.
You need something like that measures pascals if you're doing what Genry was talking about earlier. That's a dominant duct leakage test, right?
So once you can see the matrix of what pressure differential is and what it does and what it's about, the thought of spending money on any other manometer that is not a precision manometer is just silly.
Right.
It's a waste.
Yeah.
Right.
So That's just my 2 cents.
It's a crazy to think about. We could call your, let's say, market a niche market, and I'm still, I don't know when it's HVAC is going to be that it's not going to be a niche market. Like, when is it not going to be looking at a house as a system as a niche market? It's just crazy that your performance is just like, I don't know, it's like specialty. You know what I mean? When tech should be trying to adopt these things or learning about these things in school along with the refrigeration cycle. So it's just nuts to me that you're in a niche market.
I've been seeing a lot more of for whatever reason pickup trucks with signs of blower door testing.
Good.
You know what's going to happen? Just like everything.
It's happening already.
People are going to start doing blower. They're going to advertise like, "Hey, I do blower door testing." They're going to come in, hook the blower door, maybe throw out some numbers, some math formulas, and it's going to be completely wrong too because they bought a blower door, but they never wrote the education that they needed to go with it.
Well, it really depends on how far you want to go. Like I don't have any certifications. I don't have a BPI certification. I don't have anything. I got the equipment and the drive to keep at it.
But then again, like, you know, you've been kind of informally trained by the Energy Conservatory and by, you know, people at the Energy Conservatory and people at RetroTech, right? The two manufacturers. So
no, Sam Myers at RetroTech is an amazing resource. I don't remember the last time I called Sam and I wasn't able to get a hold of him. He's very responsive, very supportive. Steve too.
Steve Rogers,
Steve Rogers, Chris.
Do you get into as many fights with Sam as you do with Steve?
Not at all. Not at all. No. Sam and I get along great. We don't get any fights whatsoever. Quite the contrary.
Nice.
This is a good comment right here. A $200 manometer is a random number generator.
That's my main man, Doug, right there. Shout out to Doug. Doug Crawl. Yeah.
I had Field Piece driving around with me in a truck, using their tools one day, and they wanted to see me using the job link manometers or whatever. And on the one job, I really wanted to figure out airflow, so I busted out the True Flow. I'm like, I'm sorry guys, but I'm going to show you how a real manometer works. And they're like, wow, what's the difference between that and ours? I'm like, this one works properly.
The way I explain it to people that ask me, it's like, does it auto zero? No, then no. You know, that's what it comes on.
Heck, I have troubles getting what's it called? Pressure test on a gas valve with a Field Piece probe, let alone anything else. You know what I mean?
I've heard Jim Bergman argue the fact that Field Piece it's perfectly legit. They're good. They're very accurate, whatever. But the thing is, you have to have them at a steady temperature, right? So if you have them in a hot truck and you try to bring them in a cold house or cold basement, they're going to drift like crazy. Or if you have it in a cold truck and you try to bring it in, vice versa. If you change the temperature of the manometer, it's out the window.
Dude, that's crazy because all my tools are drifting.
That's a good comment right there. That is true. Except for the pressure probes, all the other probes are very legit. Yeah.
You don't like the pressure probes?
Huh?
You don't like the pressure probes or manometer?
I love the manometer probes. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You have to, Michael. He's saying
I've never seen those.
I use Field Speed for static pressure, zero them, then capture measure. Yeah, I zero though. But yeah, you're right. 0, 0.
So, I know kind of how I got started playing around with the blower door, not knowing it. Dude, I got the funniest story from you. I don't know if I ever told you this story, but the first house I ever did a comfort consult.
First house.
Yeah.
First house.
It was, I went to a friend of mine's 100-plus-year-old house to do a blower door test and try to figure out what he needed. And I'm setting this thing up. It's winter. It's cold in Chicago, right? So I'm setting this up and I'm trying to figure out how these things clip together and everything. I'm all nervous, like what tubes go where. I don't know what's going on. I set it up and I left the freaking screen door closed because I had the door open for a long time. Because I'm like, I'll go outside after and I'm gonna open this thing, right? Well, I turned on this fan. The fan shot out at me, and I thought I was gonna chop my fingers off. I'm like, I thought I was gonna cry. Like, I've never been that emotional. I was so scared. The thing freaking blew out the door on me.
Didn't get discouraged though. That's good.
I was shaking, like legit. After when I was putting it back in the door, I was like this.
That's amazing.
That's all it takes. That little scare. Yeah.
You imagine like, just like knowing Adam now, and he doesn't have like 7 of his fingers, and like, yeah, I remember back in the day, I
My first
lost
blower
my
door.
fingers and blower door.
Lower door accident.
You and Hausch wouldn't be friends because he would just tell you, "Don't be a pussy, grow them fingers back."
Nice one. You don't need fingers, guys.
Yeah, you don't need fingers. You're a salesman. You don't need fingers.
So, yeah. So, like, if anyone wants to start doing any of this stuff, like fixing, how do you fix? Like, what's the first steps? Like, what should people do to get into solving problems? What's your opinion?
I don't think it starts with equipment. The main thing I feel that I lacked when I first started was the attitude. So when you walk into a house and they have issues,
Just stand in your doorway and blow out, Jesus.
Right, everybody's got problems. I can't pay for this. I don't have money for that. I don't have money. Blah 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 blah. And that all may be legit, but it's also not your fault. It's not your responsibility. These things cost money. You have to put it in their course. Like this is expensive stuff, and we gotta figure it out. Do you want to figure it out or not?
Yeah.
Okay. Call me when you're ready. And then if they start dragging the conversation on, and I was like you can see, if they keep telling you no, go like, okay, well, are we done here? So what's gonna happen? You just kind of have to be a dick about it a little bit. I guess one way to put it, but very, very polite, because that's their house, and you got to be mindful of the situation, but you got to realize it's not your fault. They're going through hardships, and these things cost money.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you charge less money and you do something wrong, they're not gonna care about that. They're gonna come after you.
Right. And they're usually coming for you for an issue, especially in your market. They're coming to you because they're uncomfortable or something. Plus, when you're there, you could start feeling it out. Like, and this is for any tech. Like, when you go in and you hear an AC, is it on, off? How long is it running for? For God's sakes, you're there. They're complaining, and stuff like that.
I did a very, very heavily involved, detailed comfort consult or assessment, home performance assessment, as I call it, for a lady. She's having a lot of issues in her home. Big house, nice house. So I charged big house. So I charged her a property. Accordingly is what I mean to say. She paid me. When she showed these things to her husband, and it was time to write a bigger check, the guy was like, "What? No, I'm an architect. I've never heard of these things." The guy said. So at this point, there's been engineers, there's been other people, right? Some variation of that. So I sit in the kitchen table with her and her husband, and it happened to be a fairly mild day, and we're sitting in the kitchen table, and as we start to have a conversation and go over the report and all of that, the AC kicks on. I looked at my watch.
Your timing.
and we're talking, and the AC turns off. I'm like, all right.
Nice.
And then we're talking this and that, this and that, this and that. So at some point, I was like, we've been here for almost an hour. That unit ran for 8 minutes. And there's 3 of us here breathing on each other. About. And there's nothing removing your humidity. What are you going to do about it? And I think that was the turning point of the conversation. After that, I wouldn't say carte blanche, but they wrote me a pretty big check to take care of things. So that's it.
That's awesome.
That was that.
Throw it back on the customer.
Right.
It's his. It's not yours. It's his.
Right.
It's not your problem. It's when we go sell an AC and we walk into a house and we're like, oh, a little doggy, a little it's such a beautiful house. Oh my God, look at that table. Is that French? Fuck French. You don't even know what a French fucking table looks
I've
like.
been saying that for a long
What are you
time.
talking about?
That's what I was thinking that right as you said that. I'm like, who the fuck knows what a French table looks like? Is this a
You know,
Cuban thing or something?
no, man. But like people don't have tables in the people don't have tables in Cuba just about. There's nothing to put on them, you know? and then there's this idea that you need to convince the client that you're the right fit.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the home performance side, in my opinion, what has worked for me is kind of reverse it. Are you the right fit for the service that my company provides? It's are we gonna get along? There's people that you just won't get along with.
I ran into something somewhat similar on a completely different topic, but I was talking to a customer, and I do only commercial, which is really nice because I don't often have these in-depth interactions like you have with customers. But from time to time, I do have like the facility manager or the whoever happens to be on site, and I have to give an explanation, and I do it fairly well. But I was giving this explanation to this lady the other day, and it was for a very large bank, and I was at the main branch. They have two-story buildings, and the issue was the front building wasn't heating as well. And I went there. I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, 2 of the units aren't working, right? Cracked heat exchangers, gas valves aren't working. They had all sorts of problems. But I laid it all down. I had pictures and everything. I was just explaining it to this lady. I'm like, these units are off, blah, blah, blah. I also had to shut this other unit off because it's got a cracked heat exchanger. And I noticed as I was talking to her, like it was just slapped me right in the face. Like I could tell immediately she didn't believe anything I was saying. She just, there was just this thing about her. It was, I don't know if you want to call her being a Karen, but it was just blatantly obvious that she was no longer listening to what I had to say. She was just waiting for me to stop talking so she could politely tell me that I didn't know what I was talking about.
Yep.
Sometimes they're not ready, and that's okay.
And that's when she's like, just tell she's basically like, well, you talk to your boss because you can't shut those units down. You talk to your boss and I'll talk to him. I was like, all right, well, I talked to him and turns out I was still right. So she just had to hear it from somebody she trusted, I guess. But it just drew me back into back in the day when I used to do like residential appliance repair. And again, I wasn't going in and doing like these in-depth testing and things, but when you're talking to somebody who just got like a brand new fridge or a brand new washer, I'm like, well, the repair on this is going to be $3,000 because you need this, this, and this. And they're like, wait, I've never heard of that. That doesn't make sense. Like, have you ever repaired a refrigerator? Like, oh, you're an architect. Okay, I see. That makes sense then.
Kind of off topic a little bit, but me and Joe were talking this week. HVAC contractor by me installed all the PEX in this big driveway. I mean, it's probably small in comparison to what Joe works on, right, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
But at 3,000 square feet. And then him and whoever he was working with got into a fight, and they split ways. And he said he can't install the boilers. So she called us. And I am going to send her over a quote, but it needs a lot of heat. It's going to be a big price tag. And I'm kind of envisioning a little bit of kickback coming on this whole thing. You know what I mean? But
tell her to fucking pound rocks if she don't like it.
Don't be a pussy.
Well, you know what? When you were sizing, like just off your head, we were doing it in chat, and you're asking me, our numbers were lining up. Yeah. So just like yours, mine, other guys are doing the same price. If she wants it, she needs to pay that. If she doesn't, she's gonna get a shoemaker. That's all.
Hey, did you know there's a town in Michigan that has, I don't know exactly what kind of heat, but they have heated streets to keep the snow off the ground. I think it's Holland, Michigan, actually. But I don't know what kind of snow melt system they're using though. I don't know if it's PEX under the asphalt or what it is. Or steam
I heard
pipes.
they heat up that water and then they just pump it to Flint, Michigan, into their drinking water.
Yeah,
no, you can't heat the water in Flint because it melts.
Okay.
Because
of all the lead that's in it.
There was a good question in the chat, and then Michael Helsh reigned in. What was the question? I don't know if you guys remember.
What do you do? What do you do if the system is undersized?
There it is.
Honestly, I don't know because I've never seen that. That's God's honest truth. I've seen airflow problems. That I've seen, but I've never seen an underside system.
I think that question right there is the one that Hausch was addressing.
Yep, that's the one. Yeah.
Okay.
What times outside makes undersize? Yeah,
That's true. It is honestly it's very rewarding when you downsize or right size a system and then you check static after and you're like spot on. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy some of the stories I hear from even just yourself, Adam. Especially that one on the roof the other day. You see all these huge rooftop units, and you just come there, you put like a resi system, and you're
Dude, I should look that one up. So yeah, that was a 5-ton, and we put in. Was it a 2-ton or 1.5 we put in its place?
And it's good. It's
every unit on the entire roof was a 5-ton for this residential building, and this lady's got this little 1.5 or 2-ton thing in the corner.
Like, listen, lady, your problem is you got a bunch of Julios on the roof, and we need to get you downgraded here.
That's it.
Yeah, see, we're gonna get that started right here.
We're gonna take out your Julio. We're gonna give you a Manolo, baby, so you feel nice.
A Manolo, yeah, like that.
But yeah, it's I don't know if you guys want to keep on going. It's pretty good, been pretty good show. I have to admit, there's some question I still want to ask, but
what is it? Go for it.
What is it? Go.
Well, I was just thinking, what do you think it's gonna take to get schools teaching something that I'm pretty sure a lot of techs could pick up if they're
Oh wait, can I chime in first real quick on that?
No.
I think the first thing that it's going to take is we need to have some sort of certification process for like all technicians in the whole United States. There needs to be some sort of like testing or universal school or like just something to set a standard of a certain education level. And then we can talk about everything else.
You know what? Like, I see what you guys are rocking it. You guys are killing it, especially you, John. You're nuts. But like, I don't know. I think the refrigeration or boiler systems, anything like that, is pretty complex when you think about it. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure if you teach, the way you look at a house using a manometer in certain ways, I'm pretty sure some techs could pick that up. But it's just they don't think of it. They don't teach it. It's just weird. It's very weird to me. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just want to know. Yeah. Go ahead.
There's a lot of opportunity on it. I believe that there's more awareness now than ever.
I think so too. Because of people like you and others, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll get it done. I honestly don't know. I do believe it has to be consumer driven, a consumer driven movement of some sort. But that also sounds like fantasy somehow, because people dude, okay, just listen to this. When you're gonna buy a car, or when you're gonna buy a refrigerator, or when you're gonna buy anything, you look at reviews, you look at this, you look at that. You make sure that you are well taken care of, or at least that you did your research. If you don't do at least the same when you're gonna invest in a new HVAC, or if you have issues in your house and you're just gonna take someone's word for it, guess what? That's on you. You screwed up.
I think the big problem is, though, a lot of customers are looking at reviews on the manufacturer's equipment, right? And they're not necessarily researching the companies that install the equipment and size the systems.
Well, and some customers might not know that you can just wake up tomorrow and I can just tomorrow say, I'm an auto mechanic now. Hell yeah, I can fix your brakes. I don't know anything about it, but there's no reason I can't do that. I can open a business tomorrow, be an auto mechanic, and I have no right being an auto mechanic. But all that to say, like, the customer might not know that there is absolutely no certification, no testing required to be in one of these positions. And if they did know, then obviously, like you're saying, Genry, they could say, like, you know what, I'm going to pay this guy a lot of money to test my house. I'm going to do my research. I'm going to look at his background, look at his reviews, follow up on him.
Take this so-called air purifiers, for example. If your house smells like shit, if you have bad humidity, if there's dust everywhere, if your filter is always dirty, if your machine sounds like a train, how is it exactly that putting this little thing in the duct it's gonna make it all go away.
Hmm.
At some point, it's at some point there's a level of common sense involved.
That's why I'm gonna put that one right back on there from Christopher Hughes. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Marketing has gotten very good at confusing the consumer base. Sorry.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
I worked at a company that we sold hundreds of air purifiers.
Yeah.
Hundreds. We were making $100 commission per each.
Damn, that's
pretty
pretty good incentive.
Right. It's the kind, and we're talking about, we're talking about 2012, 2013, where $100 meant a little bit more than what they mean now,
Mhm.
you know? And when you're making, I don't know, whatever it was making back there, 18, 19 bucks an hour, when you got $300 on top of that check, on that weekly paycheck, that makes a difference.
Of course.
Mhm.
So there is incentive. So, and this is the kind that you were supposed to change. I don't want to get into specifics, so I don't, not to hurt anybody's feelings.
Maintenance. There's maintenance.
But there was a certain package. I would say a certain package that was needed to be replaced every 2 years. And guess what happened when the cycle of the 2 years came in? They sold hundreds, or we sold hundreds of them. I don't know if we got to sell 20 of those.
The replace the maintenance
of
kit.
the replacement kit. Yeah, of the maintenance kit.
Hmm.
It didn't do shit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or if it did, people didn't notice. So what the hell is the difference?
Right. And the thing is too, those companies, they like brainwash the technicians, right? These guys
Able to
really
see a
Oh, yeah.
Hamilton.
I don't think a lot of these guys think they're ripping people off. I think they truly believe they're doing good. You know what I mean? This is what you have allergies.
You're right.
I'm gonna fix your problem with this little blue light, funny, like that's one of the things that I think a lot of people are willing to fall on their sword when they really have no clue what they're talking about. Actually, the other day, I don't know if you're not in HVAC Hub, are you, Joe?
No.
So there's a group on Facebook, and somebody asked a question. It was something like, "Hey, what is a 12 by 24-inch duct too big for a 2.5 ton?"
Oh, I've
And
seen that.
first comment on there was Ed, and Ed's like, "You can't have too big of a duct. It's there's no such thing." And all these people are razzing him, like, what? The one guy right off the bat, "Oh, what are you talking about? Blah blah blah." He's like, "Have you ever heard of velocity? What do you know about velocity?" I took a picture of Ed's profile on ACA, and I responded to him. And I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say he knows a little bit more than you. It's hilarious how these people are like over and over. And I tried to restart the whole argument on the overtime group to just have some fun, right? And people
so
are
dumb
really
that
Better,
just
okay,
don't know.
so not too many people disagreed with you. The overtime group is,
there was
high.
quite a few people where they're like, yeah, no. Which let's be truthful here. We're gonna do a little bit of a podcast type deal with HVAC School. I'm going to try to get Steven Rogers and my friend Tony Amadio on, because there actually is a point where velocity can be an issue, but it's like really low. Like you're not going to hit it, right? But yeah, so that's I just thought that's funny that people like they're not trained in something and they just listen to what they've been told and they believe
But they're
it.
they're so stubborn. It's just so ingrained, and they're so, I don't know what the word is, prideful, confident. They're so confident in what they think is correct. And once the ignorant reach that level of confidence, there's almost no way to snap them out of it, because you were throwing down facts and figures and math and showing them like, hey, look at this manual, page whatever, blah blah blah.
And they ignored me. I was taking pictures from Manual D and Manual T, posting it in there, and they're just ignoring me. It's like, where are you getting your information from? Please post let's hear the book or whatever else,
But I think that's why we can walk outside as a society today. We can look up in the sky and see a plane flying by, and there's like, there's jet streams coming out the back of the plane, and they're like, that is cloud seeding, and they are poisoning me right now, because we live in idiocracy land right now.
What did Jason say a couple of weeks ago? He said, when you die, you don't know you're dead. It doesn't hurt. You know, you have no clue what's going on. You're not upset about being dead. The only people it affects is like the immediate people around you that you normally dealt with on a day-to-day basis. It's the same thing when you're stupid.
Yeah, you don't know you're stupid. It just so I mean, that's why it helps to have a good circle of friends that'll tell you that you're stupid.
Well, the good thing about stupidity is that it doesn't have to be a permanent condition.
That's a good point.
It's true.
It doesn't.
That's actually
I mean,
we should make a shirt like that. Stupidity isn't permanent.
Or stupidity doesn't have to be forever.
Yeah, it's too
permanent
long.
condition.
I'm not gonna read that much when you're walking by.
Right.
Michael,
You're
House says,
stupid, Adam.
I can see that a super oversized duct may make the fan work in a less efficient part of the curve, a fan curve or something, but I'll move air / work. It will move, but it'll move air / work.
So I don't want to get into the details because there's crazy math, and I'm sure Steve Rogers can explain it better than me. But there's something called like flow detachment that happens if you have like a crazy oversized duct. And then what ends up happening is you move air out of certain registers that you don't want to move, like more air here, and then like they'll just skip other registers.
Crazy.
But it's like,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's like at such a low velocity that it's not very probable that you're going to run into that in residential.
Cool.
It sounds like a hell of a conversation.
Yeah.
You got to say something witty, Bill, so we could click the button
in Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't say nothing witty in Spanish. Oh, I got one because I know a guy in Mexico, and every time I saw him, I would always say this: "Pinche Julio."